Everything good? Hi, my name is Adanna Ukabi. I was born in Baltimore, Maryland. I was raised in the New York City area. So the Adanna woman is a woman of presence. You feel her before you see her. She's very decisive. She knows what she wants. She honors herself. The brand was a love letter to first daughters because I feel like we possess traits that are significant to push the culture forward. You know, we have leadership traits, we're very tenacious, we're very audacious, and when you put those traits in practice, it can lead to a lot of great things. For example, there are some influences that really inspired me, like architects like Zaha Hadid, Frank Gehry, and then even fashionistas like Rihanna. You know, when you have a medium that you love and you define that medium instead of that medium defining you, if you can really move the needle in what you're doing. So I believe that I should also add my own perspective and voice to the fashion industry, especially in Nigeria, where it's less saturated, you know, from where I come from in New York, but it's also emerging. You know, it's the right time for me to put my input and my voice. Honestly, I've been planning this move for, I want to say, 2 years now, only because I knew that I was going to be doing architecture out here because that's my background. But I decided that since I'm going to be here anyways, and I know that there's an emerging fashion scene, I might as well get, you know, well connected and come into the community because first of all, I'm Nigerian, and so I feel like it's only right. And so it has definitely been a challenge, but I'm grateful to be here. And, you know, my philosophy that I use to lead my life is, you know, you're the architect of your destiny. And I took that literally, you know, so I feel like people and the power of their choices matters. And so I want, you know, this brand to kind of honor the choices of, you know, the women that shop there, because oftentimes, you know, we hear we can't. And I want this brand to kind of create or allow women to come to us and then get exactly what they desire. So the power of that choice is very, very important to me. And that's something that leads my brand and like everything that we're doing, down to made to order, you know, down to like custom wear. That's why I have it as the backbone of my brand, because having that choice and being able to get exactly what you want is very, very important to me. The Adanna woman is a woman of presence. You feel her before you see her. She's very decisive. She knows what she wants. She honors herself. And I feel like if we have those type of women shopping with us, that we're supposed to meet her where she's at. So we can do that in many different ways, down to the intricacy of the clothing, down to it being made to order so she can be met at the clothes and not that she has to expand herself or like trouble herself trying to fit into anything. And so that reinforces the feeling of like honoring the woman and honoring the body that you're in and being comfortable in yourself. And so when you're comfortable in yourself, you actually find that you're more confident, and the Adanna woman values confidence and it values boldness and exclusivity. So I really wanted to take what I know, like the NYC energy that I'm used to, because NYC, anything goes, you know, the bolder that you are, the better that it is. You know, out there, you have to really like go and push the needle to be noticed. So I want to bring what I grew up with and also merge it with Nigerian culture, which I know is already very flamboyant and, you know, we're very over the top. So I feel like it's the best of both worlds. And when you add those two together, you get Adanna. For the market that Adanna wants to tailor to, it's for women that, like I said, you know, are decisive, they know what they want. So usually women with that mentality, they like when things aren't so accessible to everyone, because accessibility usually comes at a cost. It comes with things being mundane or mediocre. And I don't want the brand to mirror that. I want the brand to almost raise a standard. So that's why I had, you know, the made to order and craftsmanship and exclusivity at the forefront. That way we can attract those that, you know, see fashion as an art instead of fashion as an everyday, you know, utility, because it can be that way and that's fine. But we're made to cater to those that see fashion as something that helps define their life and sets a standard and sets the tone in their day-to-day. If you do things at a mass scale, you don't really get to honor the intricacies of, you know, fashion being art. And so it's also very sustainable that way. I just feel like we're moving towards we're moving in a generation that cares about, you know, the planet, you know, and the choices that we make. that impact, everyone. So by doing things at pulling back the scale of production, it allows us to really cater to our audience and our clientele, and also cut back on waste, be more intentional about what we buy, pay attention to where we buy it from, where it's sourced. And those are key elements that you miss when you do things at a mass scale. Nigeria is an emerging market. I mean, we're breaking news all over the world. You see in Nigeria and everywhere, they're doing this and they're doing that. But oftentimes I feel like it's sad that we make such an impact overseas. Why can't we bring that type of maybe technology, the ideas back in Nigeria? And so I believe that, where you water, your grass will grow. So that's why I'm here in Nigeria now, to give my people opportunity to also tap into the community here that also care about things at a global scale, and, maybe showing their talents as well. Collabing with brands and combining efforts to also reshape, what Nigerian fashion looks like. So I just feel like doing it here in Nigeria is better than doing it abroad, because everyone wants to do something abroad. Everyone wants to almost like Japan, escape Nigeria. I'm like, for what? If we could just come to Nigeria and put our resources and our ideas here, I think it would be better that way. So a lot of people have been asking, why Ogun State? Why Abeokuta? Lagos is moving outward, people are moving towards Ogun State. And so I feel like by the time development reaches there, the property will appreciate. And also, I feel like Lagos, people have Lagos covered. There are studios everywhere, places like this everywhere. And being able to contribute to resources that people can use, as far as a creative space out, in a place that's apart from Lagos, I think matters, because that way, people won't have to just rely on one space to get things done. I can also make my mark in a, uncharted territory, I guess I should say. And there's a lot of tech out in Ogun State, especially Abeokuta, for example, I should say. And yeah, it's important. It's important to have presence there. It's important to have, presence everywhere. That's how we develop, this country. You just can't ignore everything else and then just come to Lagos all the time. This is my first time managing a project straight out of school. And so I didn't really know what to expect as far as the challenges that I might face. Some of them being language barriers, some of them being, cost of materials. One day it's this price, other day it's this price. Sometimes it's people leaving work. That lack of organization is something that I've definitely had a struggle with, but I'm determined, especially with the time that I want things to start and I want the brand to be running. It's a challenge that I'm willing to take. I want to be a resource to the Nigerian community at large. I didn't want to just think about myself when building my studio, be a resource and have people access other creatives, photographers, models, even other brands can come. And also, as far as Adanna, I wanted everything to be in-house, because it's kind of stressful to have everything, you have to go here for photography, then you have to go here for, sewing, and it's just having everything in one place not only makes things faster, but it also gives you more quality control. And I feel like at some point, especially when I expand out of that building, it can also be a resource for other brands to come in and do what they need to do and also contribute to what's happening in Nigeria. Nigerians already do it very well as far as, pushing our culture to the global scale. I really don't think I have to do anything different than just be, a Nigerian and show people the culture, show people the, the weight that we carry and, our presence. I feel like the unique designs that I have and, even the unique faces that I also pick from the crowd, that is a way that I can help bridge that gap between Adanna and the global audience, where I come from and what Nigeria has to offer. Success for Adanna looks like community. I really, really care about, connecting with people that will care about the brand, and connect with the brand, because at the end of the day, I put purpose over price. And I really want to make sure that the message and the voice that Adanna is going to bring not only to Nigeria, but the world at large, is understood and felt. And people feel like they are heard in ways that maybe they didn't know that they could be before, maybe that they needed. So Adanna to me looks like, not just like more clientele, but more people like tapped into the brand, maybe more events, you know, and more people that feel like, okay, this brand convinced me to step out of my shell. This brand convinced me that, you know, I can be bigger than what I was before. And this brand helped me set the tone of my day. So anything in that scope, you know, to me is success. First collection goals. I would like to achieve something that's very like distinct and unique. I would like to achieve, you know, designs at a scale that not like necessarily, I shouldn't say accessible, but something that people can, you know, I guess access still, you know, like as far as made to order, because I know that that'll probably be my biggest challenge, you know, especially when I start my studio. And I really want to achieve, you know, the designs that I have in mind, especially for the type of women that I want to serve. I want that collection to serve all, you know, different types of bodies and different sizes of women, different types of women, and, you know, women with like particular styles. I'm hoping that this next collection will be exactly what they need. So I would like our campaigns to tell a story. You know, there's this quote from, I shouldn't say quote, but Virgil Abloh was talking about, you know, if you put a piece of trash in the garage, it's a piece of trash, but if you put it in an art gallery, people see the value in it. And so when you dress up, you know, your item and build a world around it, I feel like people connect more and they see it as less of I'm buying a piece of clothing and more so that they're buying into a vision, or they are purchasing another level of self-confidence in themselves because they know that, okay, this piece of clothing is, you know, speaks to me, is going to make me feel good, and I feel like the brand understands me. And so I want to really focus on our campaigns shaping a narrative and maybe, you know, striking a conversation, you know, and evoking a lot of deep emotions within people and making people feel seen instead of sold to. I'm starting from a very small phase of the brand, and I feel like in the next year you will see Adanna grow into something a lot bigger than what it is right now, not only in terms of, you know, like the business itself, but in, you know, community and maybe like the ways that the brands express itself and like where we are, like, you know, events, and just have Adanna having a lot more presence, not just in Nigeria, but hopefully like some places internationally as well.